Hey everyone, this is Chef Luis Sanchez and this is a seat at my table. I am excited because today I'm going to show you how to make a vegetarian bolognese pasta, and if you want to make it vegan, I'm going to show you how to do that. See you in the kitchen. Alright, so we're making this awesome pasta which is normally made with beef, and we're trying to find ways in which we can get that texture and mouthfeel from vegetables. So I did some testing, and this is kind of what I can share with you. So, you know, a tomato, like a bolognese sauce, normally has a beef and obviously tomatoes. So we are not, tomatoes are going to stay there, and I have different ingredients that are going to give us that texture. Obviously, a little bit of onion, that's normal in a regular meat sauce, but we're adding mushrooms. And what I did here, these are portobello stems, because at the restaurant we use the tops and we save the stems for different uses. But in your case, just buy white mushrooms, cremini mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, and cut them in little sticks. So I'm trying to mimic the texture of things. So this, when they cook, they're going to give us that mouthfeel of like short ribs, when they're like braised beef kind of thing. And then we have some carrots that are normal also on a meat sauce, and that's going to give us the sweetness. And then we grated or shredded some zucchini, and I get the skin on as well, and that's going to give us a cool mouthfeel as well. Softer than the mushroom. So you want different things. It's almost like when you're eating a piece of beef, some of it is going to be a little bit more cooked than others, and some of it's going to have more of a bite. So that's what we're doing here. So the idea here is to, not necessarily I want it to taste like meat, because that's not the point. I want it to be vegetable driven, but I want us to have that mouthfeel that we enjoy. And then the cool and different thing we discovered is the artichoke hearts. So these are artichoke hearts that we just kind of rough chopped, and this is the kind that comes in the water brine. So they're canned artichoke hearts. They're about $1 a can, or maybe $2 a can, and that's also going to give us some of that salty umami kind of flavor to it, and also the texture, because an artichoke is basically a flower, so it has all these little petals, and they're going to break as we cook, and it's going to give us another mouthfeel. So we're going to keep it vegetarian. At one point in the recipe, towards the end, I'm going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese and cream cheese for that creaminess. But by all means, you don't have to do that. You can just keep it all vegan and or add alternative cheeses to it if you want to. And then the pasta that we're using, it's a long pasta. This one happens to be bucatini, which is sort of like a spaghetti that has a hole in the middle, so you can like look at it through it. So the idea there, and we'll see if it works, is that some of the sauce is going to get in the middle, and it also gives you a little bit more of a bite when you cook it. So it's normally a meat sauce is going to take you 3 to 8 hours if you watch Goodfellas, because they make a good one in there. But ours is going to take about an hour, and that's with prep time. So this is a great way to get your kids to get into their veggies, and it's going to taste great, and it's going to feel and look like a meat tomato based sauce. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to move everything over here to the kitchen, and we're going to do it in steps. But basically we're going to saute all these veggies with the tomato and the tomato paste, add a little bit of red wine and some fresh and dry herbs, and then you're going to see when I add the cream cheese and the cheese, which you can skip, and then we're going to come back and plate everything for you. It's really good, so stick around. Alright, so we're going to start our sauce by adding some olive oil to the bottom. It's about 2 tablespoons of olive oil to the bottom of our saucepan right here. And as always, we're going to start with the onions. These are white onions that we finely diced. We want to get them translucent. We don't necessarily want to get a lot of color, so we're starting at about a medium. And this is my wooden spoon that I always use. So funny, when onions cook, like automatically, it feels like we've been cooking for hours. So it's such a cool smell. After our onions are cooked for a couple of minutes, then we're going to start adding our veggies, and we're going to start with our carrots and our mushrooms, because those are the ones that are going to take a little bit longer to cook. Then we're going to add our zucchini and our artichokes, and then the tomato paste and tomato, you'll see. As you see right now, we have not added any salt to our onions, because when you add salt to something, then you get the water to come out. And once water comes out, then your cooking time or it sort of becomes more of a boiling than a sauteing. So we're just softening the onions. Maybe another 30 seconds, and then we start adding our carrots. These are just regular carrots that we peeled and we chopped. You can buy shredded carrots and then rough chop them if that makes things easier. But you definitely want the carrots to be there. Another thing that we never mentioned earlier was jackfruit, which is available at a lot of places, and it gives you that shredded texture, and it also comes in a can, and it's affordable. So if you want to try it with jackfruit, adding it to the vegetables now, or maybe replacing the mushrooms, if you're not a mushroom kind of person, you can do that. Another thing that works really well, that's very meaty, I guess, is eggplant. With eggplant, though, what I would do is I would peel it, because the skin's much rougher than zucchini skin. So at this point, our onions are where I want them to be, and I'm adding the carrots. And also adding our mushrooms. We're working with textures here, so I did not want to chop everything exactly the same so that it looks and feels like there's a few things in there. So this is the portobello mushroom stems, because that's what I have at the restaurant, so I'm using that. But like I mentioned earlier, you can use cremini mushrooms, white button mushrooms, portobello mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms are pretty cool too, more expensive. So use whatever mushroom you want to. Once all your veggies are here and you're doing those last 15 or 20 minutes of cooking the sauce, that's when I would suggest to start your pasta water and cook your pasta, so that your pasta is finished very close to your sauce being finished. So you don't have to be reheating things, and then you can all sit down and eat at the same time. So our mushrooms and our carrots are going to need another couple of minutes. So I will keep cooking this, and I will see you guys in a couple of minutes. Alright, at this point our mushrooms and our carrots are not fully cooked, but they're where I want them to be. I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil in the middle of the pot, maybe like a teaspoon, and then I'm going to add my tomato paste. I love this tomato paste that comes in this toothpaste-like tubes, because it just stores better in the fridge. If not, you have to buy those little cans. And the problem with the little metal cans is that you normally don't have to use the whole can, and then you have to get a little container to save it, and then you always forget about tomato paste, and tomato paste will spoil on you pretty fast. This way I found out that it lasts a little bit longer. So I'm going to add my tomato paste right there in the middle of my pot. Tomato paste is good because it gives you that feel that things have cooked for a long time, because somebody else already reduced tomatoes to get to the paste stage. We're going to cook it up a little bit right there in the middle of the pot. And the next thing we're going to do is deglaze, which means adding some sort of liquid to get all the good stuff from the bottom of the pan to come up. So in this case, we're going to use red wine. So whatever red wine that it's good enough to drink, you can use here. We're adding about half a cup, maybe a little bit more. So I'm adding that right now. And you want the alcohol part of the wine to start cooking down, and that's sort of starting the base for your sauce. So at this point, it's about, maybe let it go for a little bit longer, and then we're gonna add some white ingredients. So we're gonna add our tomato, the crushed tomatoes. That a canned tomato is awesome. So this is a great time to just use your canned crushed tomatoes. Any tomato product is really good if it's in a can still. So in this case, I'm using fresh because I have it available for me. But if you don't have it, please just make it with a can. So adding the crushed tomatoes in there. You see how easy it is to cook when you have everything lined up? It would be crazy for me to try to do this and then open or find the can opener and try to open a can in the middle of this, and you're going to burn this or that. So you want to have everything lined up, and it makes your cooking so much easier. At this point, you're starting to see how wet our dish is going to be. So we're going to add the other veggies, which are the artichokes and the zucchini. This is just fresh zucchini, about a small zucchini that I just shredded as if it was cheese. And then we're gonna mix this in there. And once this is incorporated, I'm gonna add my salt, my pepper, and my dry oregano. At this point, all our veggies are in there, so we're gonna go ahead and cover this, lower the heat, and cook for about 15 minutes. Towards the end, we're gonna add the tomato sauce and then the fresh basil, and then you make the decision whether you want to make it, keep it vegan and or add the cream cheese and the parmesan like I'm doing to make it vegetarian. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, everyone, we just added the cream cheese and I'm about to add my Parmesan cheese. Remember, at this point, if you want it to be completely vegan, don't add the cream cheese, don't add the Parmesan cheese, but I will. And at this point too, since we're almost there, I am going to add a pinch of sugar to adjust the acidity of the tomato, just like a little tiny bit of sugar. And then I have my fresh basil right here. And our pasta is almost done, and we're just going to incorporate the cream cheese and the Parmesan cheese to our sauce, and then we can be ready to plate. So I will see you guys on the counter of the kitchen, and we're going to plate this awesome dish. So see you guys soon. All right, our pasta is done. We mixed our noodles with the sauce, and remember, always save a little bit of sauce on the side, so you can make it part of the presentation. So we're going to put a little extra sauce on top. If you like your sauce a little more runny, you can always add a little bit of water at this time. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Remember, it's bucatini and it's a bolognese sauce, but with no meat. I have a little extra Parmesan cheese because I love it. Remember, if you want to make this vegan, you can. Just stop and do not add the cheese and or the cream cheese that I added. So I'm going to add a little bit of our pasta here. One more serving. This is making me hungry already. I haven't had a meal since it's been a few hours. So that should be more than enough for one person. Remember, this recipe is good for 4. I'm going to move this back here. I'm going to show you the extra sauce that I reserved. I'm going to add some of that on top. And I'm not trying to tell you that this is going to taste like meat. That's not the point here. I don't like those restaurants that sell you a full-on menu that sounds like meat, like chicken wings that are not chicken or cheeseburgers that are not, beef or anything like that. I just wanted to make something kind of cool that is something that I will eat and be happy with, that has a lot of flavor. So we're going to go in there with a little more parm. And this is the good olive oil. I'm going to go with extra virgin in there, and then a little bit of parsley. I love parsley. I had it in the fridge, so we're going to rain it with a little parsley. All right, so our pasta is made. I got my napkin, which is basic because this is very saucy, and I know I'm going to get it in my shirt no matter what. But remember, this is our bucatini, completely vegetarian and awesome looking and creamy from the cheese. But if you don't want it that way, that's okay. Bucatini is going to have a lot more of a mouthfeel for you, so it's going to be very hearty and very good no matter what. So let's see. Really good. The first thing I get in there is the carrots, and they're sweet, but then they balance out the artichokes, which is kind of what I really truly like, which is that tangy artichoke kind of flavor to it. And then the bucatini itself, it's almost like a straw. So you haven't had it in a while, so I forgot how that it's kind of cool that you can actually get some air through your pasta. So I think your kids are gonna love it. I know that I'm liking it, and I'm going for a second bite. So I will see you guys soon next week at another episode, or that's perfect, mate, at a seat at my table. So see you guys soon. This is Chef Luis Sanchez. Sorry about that. Checking out. Take care.